Okay, thank you everybody for coming today. This is definitely the largest audience I've had in this book tour, working my way up the East Coast this time. Very glad to be here at Bluestockings. What I'm going to be doing, I'm just going to say a few short words about the book, and then I'll move on to this presentation on a group that I work with called Anarchists Against the Wall. I'm going to talk a little bit about the process of segregation and land confiscation in the West Bank and how that's been proceeding. And then I'm going to give a little background and a little photography from the activity of this group in the past 6 years or so. Following that, I'm going to go into a bit of analysis of the successes and challenges that this group has been facing and try to kind of apply our thinking to what's been going on with it over the last years. So, just very briefly, the subtitle of my book is Anti-authoritarian Politics from Practice to Theory, and that inversion of the usual direction in which those two words are organized is an attempt to convey what I'm trying to do with the book, which is to generate anarchist theory that is that directly draws on and directly responds to the everyday discussions, dilemmas, and controversies that myself, my fellow activists have in our everyday political organizing. So I'm trying to go for a form of anarchist theory that doesn't get formulated abstractly somewhere, but is rather merely the application of more careful analysis and argumentation to what we usually talk about anyway, something that can be done on the written page with a little more patience than is usually possible in our kind of short 15-minute discussions of political issues. So the kind of first two chapters of the book are a bit more explanatory for people who are a little new to anarchism. It talks about anarchism primarily as a political culture, as a way of doing politics, based on practices of direct action, horizontal organizing, etc. And the second looks at anarchism as a system of ideas, ideas like rejection of all forms of domination, the idea of prefigurative politics, trying to be the change that we want to create and organize in ways that are an embryonic form of a desired free society, and kind of emphasizes how these have come about through the convergence of social movements since the 60s. So that any political theory, political ideology is ultimately grounded in the everyday discourses and concerns of movement activists. Then in the 4 core chapters of the book, I discuss kind of what I think have been 4 of the most recurrent debates in the last decade of kind of anti-capitalist resurgence. First is a discussion of freedom, of power and leadership in anarchist organizing. How is it that we encounter many internal hierarchies and inequalities in our own groups despite wanting to work differently, and how can we confront those realities? A second chapter kind of revisits the debate on anarchism and political violence and tries to very clearly separate between the questions of a definition, what violence is, and questions of justification, whether and when any use of violence could be justified. A third chapter talks about anarchism and the politics of technology and tries to take that debate beyond the impasse created by the kind of confining of that debate to primitivism and its opponents. Those of you who may be familiar with those topics might be interested in an analysis of technology that kind of focuses more on technology as such and looks at it as a form of reproducing social relations and tries to develop some anarchist perspectives on that. And the final chapter is one that deals with anarchism and the question of national liberation, anarchist solidarity with movements of national liberation, anarchism and nationalism, and particularly in the context of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. There are a few arguments there about how anarchists could support something like a Palestinian state, and discussions of that. This presentation tonight is not a direct representation of what I have to argue in that chapter, though I guess a lot of that might come out in the discussion we'll have afterwards. This is more a result of kind of the, let's say, participant observation or co-research that I've been carrying out with my comrades in Anarchists Against the Wall over the past few years, and trying to kind of, again, present a sample of this kind of grounded theory or grounded political analysis that comes not from above but from within.